This is CBC Nova Scotia News.
Tonight, the town of Wolfville comes together to support the family of a boy swept away in a flash flood.
We need Justin. We need our son.
Desperate for answers, the family of a missing Cape Breton man plead for anyone with information on his whereabouts to come forward. And lessons from Fiona. Nova Scotia has built a new online system to help administer emergency grants when another disaster strikes.
The heat warnings continue as the hot and humid weather sticks around for the next few days, along with some scattered showers and risks for rumbles of thunder. Your full forecast is coming up.
Good evening. It's been almost 4 full days since the horrible tragedy that took the life of a boy in Kings County. A flash flood impacted many communities in the Annapolis Valley, but in the town of Wolfville, a student who just finished grade 7 died when he was overpowered by strong waters in a ditch. Today, some of Eli Young's friends organized a memorial tribute. Our Paul Palmeter has the story.
A memorial site where Eli Young passed away is growing, in large part due to his many friends. Today, some of them organized a special event to honor their friend and classmate.
What kind of a person was he?
Well, he was a very kind human being, and he was very thoughtful and cared for lots of other people.
Eli was one of my best friends. He's always grateful for what he got, and he never really put us down. He always was putting us up.
On Thursday evening, Eli was playing with friends at Tower Community Park when he was overtaken by the powerful overflowing waters near this basketball court. He was pulled into the water and did not survive. Flash flooding was a major issue in many communities throughout the Annapolis Valley. Many culverts were washed out by incredibly powerful torrents of water, making for washouts under some roads. In Halls Harbor, a bridge and pedestrian walkway were smashed as it could no longer hold back the water. But those events paled in comparison to the loss of life in Wolfville. Eli just finished grade 7 and had 1 more year to go at Wolfville School before he would have gone on to high school. It wasn't hard to tell at the memorial site that he loved the game of basketball.
The boys have been incredible. Eli's just the most wonderful kid.
While the past few days have been extremely hard for people in the community, it's been a nightmare for his family and all his close friends. They wanted to pull together this event to remember all the good things about him.
They wanted to just celebrate him. He's brought so much joy and love in our lives, so they really wanted to do something, and they've come up with this, and I'm very proud of them, and I think they've done a really good job showing just how special Eli is.
One by one, Eli's friends would lay something down at the growing memorial site. One friend left a fishing lure with a note that read, "Thanks for being a great friend. Sorry, I never really got to go fishing with you." Paul Palmeter, CBC News, Wolfville.
The mayor of Wolfville is urging residents to heed the warnings the next time there is a severe weather event.
If the tide is in and the water comes down that quickly and it can't get out, the best thing for people to do is stay in their house. We can fix the basement. You can fix your basement, but you need to be safe. And that also helps our first responders who need to be out on the road if they are not impeded by people parking on the side of the road or taking pictures and so on.
And I'll talk to Wolfville Mayor Wendy Donovan about the impact the flash flood has had on the town. That's our newsmaker just after 6:30. A 63-year-old man has died following a collision in Franey Corner on Sunday. Lunenburg District RCMP were called to a report of an accident involving a motorcycle and an SUV just before 5 o'clock yesterday. It happened near the intersection of Forties Road and Bars Corner Road. The motorcycle driver, a man from Hants County, was pronounced dead at the scene. The 2 occupants of the SUV were uninjured. Well, the family of a missing Cape Breton man are speaking out, desperate for answers about their son's whereabouts. Justin McDonald's car was found, but he hasn't been seen in over a week. The CBC's Kyle Moore has the story.
It's been more than a week since Ken McDonald spoke to his son. 34-year-old Justin McDonald was last seen here at the Irving on Commercial Street in North Sydney at around 11 p.m. on July 7th.
I'd never want to see anyone experience what we're feeling right now.
From the air and on the ground, police and search teams have been looking for McDonald, but his whereabouts are still unknown.
It's hard as heck, and my wife, my other kids, it's hurting.
Police located Justin's car last week in a wooded area about a half an hour from his home. A person who lives nearby told CBC the car was burned, but police would not say what condition the vehicle was in when it was found.
Justin and I were close. We had a lot of conversations when need be.
Gordon McDonald is Justin's uncle. He says it's not like his nephew to just disappear.
I'm extremely shocked. For the kind of character Justin was, he wasn't the kind of character to find himself in bad places or in bad situations.
Police have wrapped up their search here on Ormond Crescent, but community-led searches are currently underway, organized by family and friends. Ken McDonald says his son is someone who is community-minded, loved spending time at the baseball field with youth in the community.
He had no kids of his own. He has a dog. His dog's name is Hannibal. That's his baby. So when he didn't come home to look after his baby, just doesn't add up. But as a person, yeah, he's a great person.
McDonald is described as 5'9", 240 pounds, with sandy blonde hair and green eyes. His family is urging anyone who knows anything, no matter how small, to come forward.
There's no such thing as bad information, and right now, we need Justin. We need our son.
Police say anyone with information can contact their non-emergency number or anonymously through Crime Stoppers. Kyle Moore, CBC News, Sydney.
Agencies in Nova Scotia have issued 16 tickets to people allegedly violating daily burn restrictions this year. This was the first wildfire season under steeper fines for breaking fire ban rules. The Department of Natural Resources says its officers have issued 14 of the tickets at $25,000 each. The Nova Scotia RCMP has issued the other 2 tickets. The fine amount was increased on May 16th in an effort to prevent wildfires after last year's devastating wildfire season. The province has said the larger fine will be in place until the end of wildfire season on October 15th. And Ryan, quite a scorcher out there today again.
Yeah, definitely hot, humid. The heat warnings continue, and remember just to stay safe, stay hydrated. Long distance runs, not a great idea in this type of heat. 30 even downtown today, 30 at the airport, lots of 30s on the board. And you can see 31 in Sydney, 32, one of our hottest spots at Greenwood. And again, this was feeling more like the mid to high 30s when you factor in the humidity, which was a factor today. A couple of showers, Pictou and Antigonish counties edging up into Cape Breton at this hour. That is fairly isolated. We're going to be running that risk over the next couple of hours. This air mass, this hot and heavy humid air mass, is not going anywhere. We're basically on the wrong side of this front, the drier air here, the muggy stuff on this side, and you can see with those dew points, it is going to be very, very muggy over the next couple of days. So stay safe any way you can over the next, and stay cool any way you can over the next few days. Temperatures maybe a little bit cooler along the Atlantic coastline tomorrow, at least that appears to be the case thanks to that southwest wind, which will punch in a little stronger tomorrow. Gusts in the 30, 40, even 50 kilometer per hour range. So that should push some relief a little bit further inland, but we're back into the high 20s, low 30s inland, and especially across the north. That's where we're going to run the risk of more showers and rumbles of thunder tomorrow. There is even a risk of some showers along the Atlantic coastline. Fog patches are going to roll in tonight. It is going to be a sluggish start again tomorrow, and overall a cloudier day than it was today with those shower chances into the afternoon. Wednesday, we'll be looking at kind of a similar story, though I think a little more sun in the mix, and then a better chance for some showers and downpours on Thursday. There is some relief in sight from the heat and especially the humidity. Amy, we'll break it down with your full 7-day forecast coming up.
Folks, looking forward to that indeed. All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Nova Scotia has built a new online system to help it administer emergency relief grants following lessons learned from Hurricane Fiona. The system hasn't been used yet, but officials say it could be quickly deployed if another disaster strikes. Shayna Luck has that story.
When post-tropical storm Fiona hit Nova Scotia nearly 2 years ago, it damaged electricity for hundreds of thousands of people. That included Adrienne McNutt, who lost the entire contents of her deep freeze.
Oh my God, I can't tell you how frustrating and upsetting it was.
She applied for and received the $100 provincial grant for spoiled food, but it couldn't make up for everything.
It took a lot of cleaning, and throwing out all those things was very upsetting because I have a garden and I harvest all my vegetables from the garden and I freeze them for the winter.
In 2022, the province didn't have an existing platform to process emergency relief grants. Staff quickly built a stopgap system that could do the job. They manually processed more than 150,000 applications in the largest emergency rebate program they'd ever delivered. Provincial staff have since realized they need a more permanent solution.
If you look at last year and beyond, we have been faced with a number of natural disasters. So it's not if it's going to happen again, it's just about when.
Adrienne McNutt fixed the damage to her home and replanted her garden. She's hoping the coming hurricane season won't be as bad. She did buy a generator just in case.
So I'm hopeful that it will not happen to me, but if there is a power outage, I do have my generator, so fingers crossed.
The new online system hasn't been tested yet, but the province says it could be quickly deployed when it's needed next. Shayna Luck, CBC News, Dartmouth.
The annual summer gathering of the premiers kicked off today in Halifax. They began their meetings by sitting down with Indigenous leaders. The scheduled topic was healthcare, but as Olivia Stefanovich reports, Indigenous leaders came with another message.
Nova Scotia Premier Tim Houston is playing host this week at a big meeting. He's meeting with his provincial and territorial counterparts, but today a meeting with Indigenous leaders who had their own priorities, with little time to share them. Each Indigenous leader only allocated 10 minutes to speak.
Well, it doesn't send a great message, really. Let's be honest. If we're going to have a 10-minute conversation, what can we really talk about in 10 minutes? Not much.
The conversation took place behind closed doors and ended up lasting longer than expected. 3 hours instead of the 2.5 originally scheduled.
Honestly, this is the third Council of the Federation meeting that I've attended, and I think that there was more of an understanding of the direction that we want to take these meetings in the future than there has been in the past 2 years.
National Indigenous leaders say they went into the meeting feeling disrespected. And even though no firm commitments were made, they left with a sense of optimism.
I do feel as though there is openness. Change takes time. It takes relationship building.
We were able to say very frank things and have an open conversation about where we need to go. And now a lot of it is on Doug Ford as the Premier who's hosting Council of Federation next year to work on improving the space.
The Premiers say they're willing to listen and make changes to hear more from Indigenous leaders.
Premiers are going to have a serious conversation with Indigenous leadership about how these meetings take place to make sure that we're evolving and representing as best as possible the leadership across Canada to be able to reach resolution on some of these really challenging issues.
Some of those issues include housing, affordability, and federal-provincial relations, topics expected to dominate the conversations between premiers over the next 2 days. Olivia Stefanovich, CBC News, Halifax.
A store and restaurant in Maitland celebrated its 185th birthday this weekend. Many believe Freeze and Roy is Canada's oldest general store. Over the years, everything from medicine to clothing to building materials has been sold at the store. Owner Troy Robertson says restoring the building over the past decade has helped it continue to be a gathering point for the community.
Initially, we thought, well, it'll be short term. Maybe after 5 or 6 years, someone else will be here and they'll take it over, do whatever. But that's where we're at now. And that's why we did this, because the community needs to have a heart to it. And that's what this place is.
The birthday celebration was the first event put out for the Maitland Days Committee, something they hope will become an annual occasion. Well, a once outlawed Mi'kmaq game is seeing a resurgence. The ancient game of Waltes had its second official world tournament in Millbrook last week, and Sissa Mohan was there to take in the action.
Here in Millbrook, 16 competitors from Mi'kmaq communities across the Maritimes are vying to be the World Waltes champion. It's the second time players have come together for a Waltes tournament like this. This one, held last week, was put on by the Mi'kmaq Education Authority, Mi'kmaq Ginamatnue.
I'm here to watch my counters, and wherever they're stuck at something, they come to me.
Madeline Poulet, or Sugar, is the unofficial Queen of Waltes. She worked at the tournament as the expert advisor, settling disputes over rules and keeping the counters accountable for scoring the games.
I've been playing Waltes since I was a little girl. We used to play like when we were 4 or 5, you know, all of us in the family. There's 11 of us in our family, siblings, and my grandmother had a board, but we used to bring it out dinner time.
It's a difficult game to describe, and for people who play, it can take years to master. Points are counted based on how the dice land when the wooden dish is dropped onto the blanket beneath. This ancient Mi'kmaq game of chance is played on a Waltes da Hanogwan, or board made from the burr of a maple tree, with Waltes da Hanjij, or dice made from moose bones, and Gidamahunk, or counting sticks made from white or black ash.
We used to play our Waltes at Mary Madeleine's Paula's house, and we've been playing Waltes for the longest time. Me and her sister played Waltes for 6 hours, and not like these fancy benches. I feel so proud and honored. And before I came here, I asked my ancestors, my grandfather and my grandmothers, to give me strength to play today.
I'm a survivor of residential school, and we weren't allowed to play this game. And when it started coming back, I just jumped on it, and I tried to teach it as much as I could, bring it back.
This tournament is significant because Waltes was once deemed illegal as it was considered gambling, leading to arrests in the 50s and 60s for playing the game.
As First Nations, we weren't allowed to gamble. We weren't allowed to sing, dance, because we weren't considered human. So they didn't, how can anybody that's human play games and chant and dance and whatever?
It's really exciting to be here. Yeah, see all different people. I know most of them. Yeah, and I've played with most of them.
Have you beat most of them?
Some.
By the end of the tournament, Molly Piero did beat all the other competitors and was crowned World Waltes champion. Sissa Mohan, CBC News, Millbrook.
Coming up, just days after an assassination attempt, Donald Trump attends the RNC, picking J.D. Vance as his running mate. And there's good news in the forecast for a wildfire threatening Labrador City. And we've got Ryan up next with his full forecast. We'll see you in just a few minutes. Yep, so definitely feeling very tropical out there today.
Yeah, it's hot, it's muggy, and the daytime highs get all the headlines, of course, but it's the nighttime lows in this type of
When it's hard to sleep, yeah.
It's going to be another difficult night for sleeping tonight. Overnight lows, high teens, low 20s. So it will be sticky through the overnight. There's some relief in sight into the long-range forecast, so let's get to it. You can see with our webcam shot to start things off in Truro, Fundy Discovery Site, beautiful evening there right now. Some sun, some cloud, 28 degrees. But yeah, feeling more like 36, 37 when you factor in the humidity. So yeah, it's warm for sure. There are those temperatures. You can see 30 in the valley right now, 27, 28 degrees along the Northumberland shore, 25 downtown, 30 still in Sydney, feeling 37. That's one of our warmer spots in terms of the feel right now. 38 is what it feels like in Antigonish. And as we look at those dew point values, yeah, you can see humid to oppressive. This is going to be the case. Even though the temperature drops, the dew point stays pretty much at this level through the overnight. So that's why it feels so uncomfortable for sleeping. And that will indeed be the case not only tonight, but the next couple of nights before some relief in sight. And yeah, we can see a couple of isolated showers and a few rumbles of thunder with this line here that is pushing up its way into Inverness County. So keep your eye on the sky when the thunder roars head indoors. Some downpours with that. And you can see this is the frontal boundary that divides the muggy stuff from the drier stuff. And on the other side, you can see a more tolerable air mass for sure. This will sweep in and bring some relief over the next few days, but it's going to take its time getting here. How about those dew points of 24, Toronto and Ottawa right now? That is soupy. Feeling 40 in the nation's capital, feeling 42 in Chicago, 45 is what it feels like in DC right now. And yeah, it's no doubt uncomfortable here, but we're really in the thick of it for the next couple of days. Overnight lows tonight, high teens, low 20s. Fog patches will work their way back inland. And you can see here as we move through the hour by hour, those fog patches setting up tonight. Shower chances will be no doubt on the menu for tomorrow in this daytime heating. We are going to be looking at the possibility of those pretty much from start to finish tomorrow. We'll be running the risk of a shower or a rumble of thunder. For Cape Breton, it looks like the greater risk will be into the afternoon. Temperatures ranging between 25 and 30 degrees, but it will be feeling, again, mid to high 30s when you factor in the humidity. Note the relief along the Atlantic coastline tomorrow. Winds sustained 20 to 30, gusting 40 to 50. So we will feel some relief closer to the Atlantic coastline. But given the wind will be a bit stronger than it is today, that relief will punch inland a bit further than it did today. We got to 30 on the peninsula today. Likely won't get there tomorrow, but yeah, at least 25. If the wind backs off a little bit, that'll creep higher, no doubt about that. We can see temperatures will be best chance of 30 will be through northern areas. This is where we'll have our greatest risk of a rumble of thunder tomorrow as well. Be through the valley across the Colchester, Cumberland, and Northumberland shore area. And note the cooler temperatures here along the Tri-County area and the Atlantic coastline, the South Shore. For Wednesday, it is going to be another hot and humid one. Similar story. High 20s, edging into the low 30s, feeling mid to high 30s. And yeah, as we look at that outlook, you can see there's that chance for some showers again on the Wednesday time period. And then as we move into the Thursday time frame, a better chance for showers along this frontal boundary, which is going to be creeping its way in on the other side of that front. Well, that's where we're going to be seeing some relief. But again, we're into the mighty, muggy, truly tropical range for the next 3, and then some relief into the Friday, Saturday time frame. That's that more tolerable air mass, that fresher air, no question about it. We're going to be, edging in those high 20s again towards 30 the next 3 days, and then note that relief. Saturday's still very warm, Amy, but we'll definitely be feeling the relief from the humidity.
Yes, that will be very welcome for a lot of people.
Definitely.
All right, thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
Well, fire crews are making some progress battling a wildfire in Labrador. Rainfall and humidity are helping to douse the flames. Still, the fire is dangerous and threatening Labrador City, and local residents are still out of their homes. Heather Gillis reports.
For wildfire evacuees from Labrador City seeking refuge from flames, it's a waiting game.
Town don't burn. I'm happy. I don't care if I'm here for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, as long as the town don't burn.
We have to hope for the best.
Any word about when you can go home?
No.
The fire burned to a size of 14,000 hectares just 4 kilometers outside Labrador City. 4 water bombers and 3 helicopters are dousing it from the Labrador side, more on the Quebec side. No ground crews yet, but today, fire breaks. Even with rain, it's still not controlled.
I don't see it happening, not in the next couple of days.
Amid all the uncertainty, Danielle Avery is biding time at the Canadian Forces Base, carrying her best friend, 12-year-old Rocky, up flights of stairs into her home, away from home.
We're making do. We're doing pretty good. At least we have a place to stay. Yeah. That was the biggest part with the 3 dogs, because we would never separate.
Avery works in healthcare and had to take care of others before getting herself out.
It was a mad panic to get our patients out as well.
What was that like?
It was a lot. It took overnight to get everybody out, but everybody got out safely, so that's the main thing.
A hurried and hectic evacuation for everyone.
Horrifying. I was quit smoking, but I had to take off the patch, and my nerves is gone.
Same for Riley Adams. His truck broke down on the way.
We towed it to a safe spot, loaded up, made plans, and then we turned around, went back to get in our vehicle, and we still got out. We got what we could.
Meanwhile, this is the second time in a month now Happy Valley Goose Bay has housed people fleeing fire, first by the hundreds, now by the thousands, making it busy at fast food joints
A muffin will be great. A muffin?
and at the Salvation Army's emergency food truck.
It's just keeping going. We're working from 8 in the morning till 2 o'clock in the morning.
With the Premier worrying about the toll it's taking.
I'm concerned about the cost that is borne by the people that I saw in Goose Bay and Happy Valley Goose Bay, the fatigue that they had, the cost that they borne both emotionally and fiscally.
There's no word on how much longer people in this town will be lending a helping hand. Some evacuees are hoping to get home by the end of the week, but fire and the weather is unpredictable, so it's too early to say. Heather Gillis, CBC News, Happy Valley Goose Bay.
Up next, I'll talk with Wolfville Mayor Wendy Donovan, and I'll ask about how the town is coping in the wake of last week's deadly flooding. That is our newsmaker. Do stay with us. You're watching CBC Nova Scotia News. The town of Wolfville continues to grieve after a boy was lost to last week's flash flooding. Between 90 and 130 millimeters fell in Kings County in a few hours on Thursday. I'm joined now by Wolfville Mayor Wendy Donovan. First off, how is your community doing today?
Hello, Amy. The community is weather-wise, and there's no water on the streets, so that all seems to be back to normal. Emotionally, I think that there are some people that are really hurting in the community. It was a shock for us to learn of the young fellow who was swept away in that storm, and I think that people will need some time to heal.
And I understand really there's been an outpouring of support for the family in that situation.
There has. Last evening, the local Baptist church opened the church to the community for as long as people needed to be in there. There was I wouldn't call it a service, but people came and there was some candle lighting and so on. I know that there's a GoFundMe in the community, and are speaking to our Deputy Fire Chief this morning. People have been brought in to help our first responders who were at the site. And I understand, talking to some of the teachers who were at the event last evening, that the school has opened up. The school, of course, is closed right now for the summer, but they have opened up and brought in grief counselors for the teachers and for the children and staff.
Now, when it comes to severe weather that we know we'll be getting in the future, what do you think might be done differently to make sure people are safe?
You know, I have been thinking about that, obviously, and about an hour before our communications manager asked me to post on my mayor's Facebook asking people to stay inside, which I did, and it was shared many times. We didn't have a dam break. We didn't have a problem with any of our road infrastructure, other than the rain was coming down so fast that it couldn't get off the road. I asked people to stay in, but still I saw people out taking pictures and posting pictures of the flooding. I think it's, obviously we will look at what happened and look at what we would do differently next time. But I really think that there's a level of people have to be aware that this is different than it has been for our communities in the past. And when we say stay off the streets and stay in your house, and if you have an emergency, call 911, we really do mean that.
Well, what are you hearing from residents about what kind of help they might need?
What they need, and actually, interestingly, I spoke to the Premier when he was here for the press conference. It was held on Friday. Aside from the endangerment to a life, the biggest problem for Wolfville is flooded basements, and that has been a perennial issue. It's not so much caused by our infrastructure, which is actually pretty good. A lot of money has been put into it. But we have older homes. Most of Wolfville is at the floodplain or under the floodplain, and when the tide is in and the water is rolling down the hill, it can't get out. It's going to go into your basement. So we're telling people to call their insurance company. The Premier did advise me, and I did write to him this morning that there may be some funding support, and I just wrote that email a few hours ago, so we will see. But I think there is going to be a level of homeowner issues that are probably new to us. So whether it's your own personal insurance or I don't know. We're just in the first morning, kind of after the weekend, but certainly the Premier did reach out and suggest that I write him, and I did.
Now, you talk about the infrastructure being pretty good, but are there any improvements that you think could help for the next time there's a severe weather event?
In this situation, this specific situation, no. Nothing could have changed that situation. We are a tidal community. And we do need, we have the old harbor, former harbor that hasn't been a harbor for 100 years, is an area where the dikes have to be built up. We know that. We have been working on that. A lot of the dike lands in Wolfville is actually in the county, and the province has been helping build up the dikes adjacent to the farmland that is just to immediate north of us. I don't know. I'm not the person really. I'm not an engineer, but I think other than that particular area of vulnerability, which we know that we have to build up, and that was not the problem this weekend. We are going to get a lot of water, no matter how big the pipe is. And as I say, we've done millions of dollars of road infrastructure in my time on council, which is about a dozen years. Certainly there is more of that to do. But if the tide is in and the water comes down that quickly and it can't get out, the best thing for people to do is stay in their house. We can fix the basement. You can fix your basement, but you need to be safe. And that also helps our first responders who need to be out on the road if they are not impeded by people parking on the side of the road or taking pictures and so on.
All right. Well, Mayor Donovan, thank you very much for your time. We do appreciate it.
My pleasure. Thank you, Amy. Bye-bye.
Coming up, running is gaining popularity among youth, not because it's trendy, but because it's affordable. Welcome back. Donald Trump is now the Republican presidential nominee. He had been the presumptive nominee for months, but it was the vote today at the Republican National Convention in Milwaukee that made it official.
On behalf of our entire family and on behalf of the 125 delegates in the unbelievable state of Florida, we hereby nominate every single one of them for the greatest president that's ever lived, and that's Donald J. Trump, hereby declaring him the Republican nominee for President of the United States of America.
Trump sealed the nomination 3 days after surviving an assassination attempt. He's scheduled to formally accept it on Thursday. Trump also announced his choice for a running mate for the Republican ticket. He posted on social media he'd selected Ohio Senator J.D. Vance. Vance is a lawyer and former Marine and the author of the best-selling memoir Hillbilly Elegy. Meanwhile, current U.S. President Joe Biden is trying to calm tensions in America after Saturday's shooting. In an address from the Oval Office last night, Biden condemned the attack, saying the political arena should never become, quote, a killing field.
There's no place in America for this kind of violence, or for any violence ever. Period. No exceptions. We can't allow this violence to be normalized. You know, the political record in this country has gotten very heated. It's time to cool it down.
Biden has ordered an independent review of security at the Pennsylvania rally. Several witnesses say the people there were alerting officers to the shooter. People could be heard yelling, "He's on the roof." Congressional leaders are demanding answers from the Secret Service. The Trump shooting has politicians urging each other to tone down political rhetoric. When it comes to political violence, Canada is not immune. Ashley Burke takes this look at past events and current warnings about what might be on the horizon.
Take a look at what happened.
Canada hasn't recently seen anything like this. The assassination attempt of former U.S. President Donald Trump. But this country has seen serious incidents and threats.
It's just a sad state of affairs in democracies around the world. Leaders have to be worried about being shot.
A decade ago, a gunman stormed Parliament Hill. The violence only ended after a shootout that killed the gunman who had already killed reservist Corporal Nathan Cirillo, standing guard at the National War Memorial. Just 2 years earlier, there was an assassination attempt against Quebec Premier-elect Pauline Marois. In 2020, a military reservist rammed his truck into the gates of Rideau Hall, then headed towards the Prime Minister's house with loaded guns. His goal, to arrest Justin Trudeau. Since then, the Sergeant of Arms has warned harassment against MPs is up almost 800%.
A significant increase of threats and threat behavior.
There's certainly been an increase, though, in threats and harassment for elected officials.
In an unprecedented move, the Prime Minister was seen wearing a bulletproof vest at a campaign rally in 2019. Some MPs and party leaders have upped their security too.
I am confident that the RCMP will do what's necessary to protect elected leaders in Canada.
The Public Safety Minister says so far there's no link between what happened to Trump in the U.S. and Canada. But the RCMP said it's talking to its U.S. counterpart to adapt its protective measures.
If you want to change the government, you participate in an election and you go to vote. You don't engage in acts of political violence. That's what's so disturbing about what we saw with former President Trump.
Now politicians say it's time to tone down the political rhetoric.
And I think we have to be very mindful that we can have a disagreement in politics, but we have to stick to the issues.
But it should not be that we treat political opponents as enemies. It shouldn't be that we've got violence being inflamed and tensions being inflamed to get to the point of violence or harassment.
The RCMP's commissioner has already raised concerns about threats against elected officials and wants the government to create a new law to make it easier for police to lay charges. Ashley Burke, CBC News, Ottawa.
Turning to the latest from the Middle East, Israel struck more targets in southern and central Gaza today. This is the aftermath of an Israeli airstrike that hit a building in central Gaza. Officials say 3 family members, including a child, were killed. Today's attacks follow a weekend strike targeting Hamas leaders, which killed dozens of Palestinians sheltering in a makeshift camp. The escalation is aimed at putting more pressure on Hamas for a ceasefire and a hostage release. Well, hundreds of people carried the Olympic torch through Paris yesterday and today, and crowds lined the streets to watch. About 10,000 people were chosen to carry the iconic flame across France. Many of the participants were athletes, while others represented areas such as arts, culture, and volunteering. The torch's journey will end on July 26th, when it will be used to light the Olympic cauldron to mark the start of the Games. Well, the ranks of committed runners are growing, thanks to interest among people in their 20s and 30s. Paula Duhacek took to the streets of Calgary for a closer look at this trend.
A few months ago, this was a small, intimate running group. Now, not so much.
We're really just here to move our bodies and meet new people, and I think maybe that's the culture of the way running is going now and why it's growing so fast.
Across the country, people are pounding the pavement in a big way. Marathons in Vancouver and Toronto selling out in record numbers. Calgary hosted its largest marathon in a decade.
Overall, it looks like participation's up about 16%, which is absolutely awesome considering it actually was on the downward spiral before the pandemic.
This isn't the first time running's had a moment.
It seems just about everybody is doing it these days, running around a gymnasium, a park, or the neighborhood streets.
Back in the 70s, Canadians discovered running and loved it.
I like nature. I like seeing people.
We chase ladies.
It's a sociable way to get some exercise.
Today's runners say they're also drawn to the social aspect.
It's the middle of the week. It's a good way to meet new people when you're new to the city.
Great people, great activity. Get outdoors, have some fun.
The blue labeled shoes are for feet that tend to roll to the inside of your ankle.
This running room manager says for many, running is a pandemic habit that's stuck around.
Gyms and pools were closed, that a lot of new people were coming to the sport, learning to run outside for the first time maybe and learning that they liked it.
Plus, amid the high cost of living, it's one way to get a workout without breaking the bank.
Oh, it's just running, like all I need is a pair of running shoes. I already got that. I don't have to pay for a gym membership.
Workout trends tend to come and go, and it's not clear whether the boom will fizzle or flourish. But this running group has no plans of slowing down. Paula Duhacek, CBC News, Calgary.
Some potato fields on PEI are now employing a robot. Using AI, it searches fields for signs of a potato virus. The work is usually done by humans, but it's getting harder to find people to do it. And that's where the robot comes in. Nancy Russell reports.
This is the AgriScout robot, created by a master's student at UPEI's Faculty of Sustainable Design Engineering, with help from a computer scientist and agricultural researchers. This project is funded by the PEI Potato Board, which came to the university looking for a more high-tech way of looking for signs of potato virus Y.
Detecting PVY, it's one of the few things we do in potatoes that's very manual and very labor intensive. And it involves in seed fields, it involves walking up and down fields trying to look for disease plants.
The people who look for the virus are called rogers, but they're getting hard to find because it's difficult work. The robot has a camera mounted over every row and can do 5 rows at a time, taking photos of the potato plants.
And we can go plant by plant, in fact, to understand where there may be infection. And then the artificial intelligence is processing those images and being able to understand and hopefully being able to pick out plants that it thinks are infected.
This prototype is heading to lots of fields this summer to give the AI program more images to analyze and learn from. Then potato researchers check the plants that have been identified by the robot to see how well it is doing at finding the potato virus.
So this year we have better quality of images, and we are looking for 85 or maybe 90% of accuracy. And as we will be getting more data from the fields, our accuracy will go up for sure.
It's not easy to spot signs of this virus, especially on sunny days.
Yeah, it's really hard for even the human to tell the difference between the healthy and infected plants, right? So to train the AI models to detect those symptoms are really challenging, but we are like doing good. We are getting like good accuracy in detecting those symptoms of the disease.
Adizaz Farouk presented the research on the robot at a recent International Potato Conference in Australia.
I was very pleased with the response, and a lot of growers from around the world. I had interesting conversations, and they thought, yeah, this is the way to go.
Farouk says they are also trying new ways to use the robot with other plants and diseases.
And I think we have a very good, promising results, and I'm very optimistic about that. So, but still, I'm thinking we are, from commercialization, we are 3 to 5 years away.
These researchers say AI and robotics are the way of the future in agriculture. They're excited to be using the technology to help PEI potato growers as a first step. Nancy Russell, CBC News, North Wilshire.
North American stock markets continued their winning streak today as investors grow in confidence that former U.S. President Donald Trump may be headed back to the White House. Here's a look at how they did as we head to break. Yeah, so this hot streak continues for a couple more days at least.
That's
hot and muggy.
Hot and muggy. It's not the heat, it's the humidity.
I've heard that once before.
Yeah. So that's, listen, that's what we're going to have to contend with for the next, basically tomorrow, Wednesday, even Thursday is pretty uncomfortable. The muggy meters we saw in the 7-day is creeping down Friday into Saturday. Let's have a look at our viewer picture of the day. We're going to zoom in on Richmond County, and this is a really, really nice spot. Now, have a look at this picture. The green,
very peaceful,
the blue.
The water in the background.
Renee Sampson, a little piece of paradise there.
Lovely.
Thank you so much. Ryan's Picks at CBC.ca, and Ryan's Picks has filled up nicely when I was on away on a little vacation. And my thanks, of course,
welcome back, by
to
the
Tina
way.
Simpkin for filling in. Thank you very much. Great to be back. And you can see those temperatures tomorrow will be, as I mentioned earlier, that southwest wind will be breezier tomorrow, so the cooler along the Atlantic coastline will be pushing in a little bit further. The high 20s and low 30s will be pushed a little bit further inland towards the northern parts of the province, the valley and the Northumberland shore. That's where we'll run our better chance for some showers and a risk of a rumble of thunder, I should say. That's the best chance for rumbles of thunder. Widespread shower chances, not only tomorrow, but Wednesday. I'm still getting the cobwebs out here, Amy, after a few days off.
Vacation high, I know.
Yeah, that's right. How do you talk on TV again? Let's have a look at our muggy meter, and you can see that, we will be looking at that muggy meter riding pretty high for the next 3 days, creeping down through Friday and a more tolerable air mass for the weekend. But as you will see here, still quite warm on Saturday, and Sunday looks like the shower should hold off until very late day.
Okay, sounds good.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? There was a standing ovation at Wimbledon this weekend, but this round of applause wasn't for the players. Kate Middleton made her second public appearance on Sunday since her cancer diagnosis earlier this year. She was attending the men's final match at Wimbledon.
She and her daughter, Princess Charlotte, watched from the Royal Box, and several Wimbledon participants were on hand to greet them. She said she hopes to attend a number of events this summer.
Looks great.
Yeah, great to see her out.
Well, that is it for us tonight. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Good night.